Call a Liberal with your friendly neighborhood leftist, Sophie of sexwithsophie.com, here to set off another wonderful evening of chit-chatting. I know there's a lot of people out here who do debates and whatnot, but that's not me. This is definitely more of a place to have a conversation, just enjoy each other's company, learn something new about each other, hopefully. And yeah, just keeping it simple. That's kind of it. So I'm streaming to quite a few places. This is my first time streaming to TikTok in this way, but I've been on TikTok for maybe a week and some change now. So yeah, I'm still a baby TikToker, so I don't believe I can have people come on as guests just yet. So if you want to give me a call, you can call the number that's above. And just a pro tip, if you are wanting to call, you can press *67 on your phone before you dial your number, because I've heard some people were worried that I was trying to get their phone number for some reason. That's not true. I really don't give a shit. But just for your safety and peace of mind, dial *67 before you dial your number. And again, that's the best way to interact with me and to get on the show right now, because again, I'm still a baby TikToker, so I do not have the ability to add guests just yet. So honestly, though, this is, again, your time, your space. Hello, TikTok. I definitely see there's so many people coming in from TikTok, but I am streaming to Kick and Twitch and YouTube and all over the place. But another thing I'm doing is streaming to really alt-right platforms. So I'm streaming on Rumble and Locals, and I have accounts on Gab and Kick and, of course, X, which I definitely consider to be very alt-right just because of who owns it. So I'm trying to reach out to the MAGA sphere and people who voted a little differently than I did, because I voted for the GOAT, Kamala Harris. Unfortunately, that was not to be, but here we are. And so now we have to live with the consequences of other people's actions, and very interested to see and hear if that's still working out for people, if people have some consternation about that. What's changed if you did vote for Trump and you're no longer happy with your decision? Or if you voted for Trump and you're still like, yeah, it's awesome, it's great. Let me know. I'd love to know why you're so ecstatic. What's rubbing you the right way? What's rubbing you the wrong way? Again, this is your time and your space. If you do want to call in, again, because I'm a baby TikToker, I can't add guests just yet. You can call that number that's on your screen. You can also chit chat with me about any of the topics that I have listed above, or just anything that's on your mind. Again, this is your time and your space. A little quick pro tip: if you want to dial *67 before you call or before you dial your number, it'll block your phone number from my caller ID if that's something that you've been worried about. I've had that concern lifted up from a few callers, so hopefully that helps you to feel a little bit more comfortable. Again, dial *67 before you dial that number that's above. And yeah, I'm just here to open this space for you. This is a safe space. I'm Sophie of sexwithsophie.com. I am, again, a baby TikToker, but I have been doing this show, Call a Liberal, for several months now, including before and during the election. And I've learned so much. And honestly, I think this is the best way that we can actually fight some of the things that we are dissatisfied with, given the outcome of the election, that it didn't swing our way if you're a fellow liberal like me. So, again, I'm hoping that because we're all here together, we can prove to each other that we're not really on opposite sides of these issues like the right would want us to believe. So even when it comes to things like the DEI stuff, like we were lifting up a few days ago, that it's not any different for us. So if you're on the right and you're anti-DEI, I'm taking that to mean that you are someone who's very concerned about people who are well deserving of a position or a place or a seat at a school, you're concerned that these well-deserving people who've worked really hard are not going to be able to have the opportunity to get that job or get accepted to that school because of their skin color. And that's exactly what that's exactly what I'm saying. That's what a pro DEI person is saying, is that we're concerned that people are not given the opportunities because of the color of their skin, because of their gender, because of the way that they love, because of their disability, because of their language, because of their income. DEI encapsulates so much more than just Black people. It's not just a euphemism or a synonym for Black people. So, again, I think once you kind of come to understand that, you'll realize, like, again, we're saying the same fucking things. Like DEI and anti-DEI are both saying that we want people who are deserving of a position to be able to have the opportunity to interview for it or apply for it or get it. And that's it. So if we can find common ground with something as huge as DEI is right now, I'm so certain we can actually find some, again, consensus, bridge some gaps between our other ways of thinking, including a lot of the things that I believe wholeheartedly above. So if you have thoughts on those, feel free to call in. Again, you can use *67 before you dial that number to block your phone number from my caller ID, if that's a concern of yours. Or you can, again, just leave a comment and I'll read out anything. I don't give a fuck. So, yeah, whatever you have thoughts on, I'm happy to share. The other day, somebody expressed that I looked like I needed to take a shower. And as a mom of 2 under 5, at first I was like, what? And then I was like, they got a point. So I hope you can appreciate I still look kind of a hot mess, but I don't look quite like Frederick Douglass today. So, I'm listening. I'm always trying to open my ears and my heart to what it is you have to say. Again, even if you think differently from me, if you have an opposing opinion to what's listed above, some ways I think we can, again, find some common ground between things that we feel are so disparate. A big issue that tends to come up when more MAGA-centric folks do call is really along the lines of like immigration, economy, stuff like that. With economy, I think that's easy. I think we all want the price of eggs to be lowered, and we all want our rent to be lower. We all want to make more money at work. I think some of the consensus there is kind of easy when it comes to immigration and stuff like that. I think that's where on the left we made a bit of a mistake. We started to try to take on a lot of the rights concerns that were surrounding immigration. So when they would say, oh, immigration is a big deal for us and the border's wide open, we would be like, no, the border's not wide open. And here's the processes we did. And we had this bill and it was, that was the right and Trump that killed the bill to help with the border. And this, when honestly, we should have been like, what the fuck are you talking about? You want to kick out the people who are running this fucking country, who keep our food on our table, who fucking, are the ones that go into the construction areas after a disaster to rebuild our homes? I think we should have had a lot more anger and ire around shit instead of trying to one up the right. So, I mean, if you disagree, if you agree, I'd love to know. I absolutely am interested in your thoughts and opinions, especially if they differ from mine, because I'm willing to bet we can, again, find some common ground, some consensus with these things. Even with immigration, I think that's a tough one, because when people on the right say that immigration is a huge deal for them, I'm literally hearing that as I'm racist, but I don't like to admit that I'm racist because I understand that can make me appear to not be the good person that I think I am. So I'm going to throw my racism into this obscure miasma of immigration and be mad about that, so people don't know that I'm really just mad about brown people existing in this country. So why does America have to do it for some reason? Why? So why does America have to do it for some reason? Why? I'm so sorry. I do not understand the question. If you could rephrase that, Chris, I'd love to, again, hopefully find some common ground with an answer. And I'm I'm really more adept, I think, at uh, again, finding the common ground, holding what you say to be true. And oh, he says, do I live in America? No, hell no. I am American. I do not care for America, but I love, 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 love Americans. My family is there. Um, my business is there. All my friends are there. So I mean, America as an institution, as a system, as a country, fuck that. But the people of America, especially the ones who are suffering right now, especially the ones who are suffering right now due to no fault of their own, yeah, I have a lot of empathy for those people. Did it start with Trump because he just got in? Kind of. I moved away from America a few years ago, but it was definitely Trump's first term that kind of got the ball rolling. I love how everybody hates America, but everybody comes here to live. Shove it. Why are you saying that after I literally just said I left? America's the dumpster fire. Chris, what is so good about America? What do you like about America? Why are you patriotic? Where does your nationalism stem from? Would absolutely love to know what's so good about it. Because again, I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to build some bridges between our ways of thinking. Swamp House America, great. I'd love to know. And again, I'm going to assume America is great comes from the whole MAGA, Make America Great Again saying. I'd love to know when America was great, if we're trying to make it great again. Happy Black History Month to you too. Thank you. What is a national? Everybody throws it around. I think you'd be nationalist. Nationalist is just somebody who puts country above all. They're very, especially in America, they're very pro-America. Like in Germany, the whole Nazi party, they were very nationalist. They were very Germany above all, so it's the same kind of thinking. No, I just think it's great. I didn't vote. What do you think is great about America? Again, I would love to know. And if you're somebody who's MAGA, when was again? When are we trying? What are we trying to get back to when we say "Make America Great Again"? And when was it great for all Americans? I would love to know. So you can, again, comment if you want to call and have a chit chat with me. I am not going to beat you over the head with what your logical fallacy is or whatever. I'm here to, again, just have a discussion because I think that no matter how far apart we may seem, we have so much more in common. We have so much more that we can find common ground on than with each other than you do with Donald Trump or Elon Musk. I promise you. I have to say me, whether blue or red. I have to say me, whether blue or red. It's great for me and my fam. I just love what we have here, which is what? Like what has America afforded you and your family? Oh my gosh. She okay? Oh, come here. What happened? Okay. So sorry. Yeah, so again, let me know. I feel like yeah, we escaped just in time. I don't know if I can say because I get dings for personal information, but we moved to the UK and best decision I ever made for myself, for my family. This little baby wouldn't even be here if we didn't move. I had her 4 months early, 4 months early. So, we were in the hospital for 16 weeks, 111 days. She just wouldn't be here if we had to contend with the American healthcare system. So, yeah, America's a dumpster fire and it's garbage. But again, if you like it, I'm glad it's great for you and your family. I would love some concrete reasons as to why. Because maybe you'll change my mind. I don't know. I mean, I'm very open to understanding how and why you think what you think. Oh, baby, are you okay? Oh, she's just getting over a bit of a flu. Oh, and she's gonna dance for us today. Okay, But yeah, so sorry. So again, yeah, this is just your time and your space. I'm here to hold this space for you if you want to give me a call. Unfortunately, I am a baby TikToker, so I cannot have guests come on just yet. And in that way, but if you want to call with a star 6 7 and then that number, you will be able to block your number from my caller ID if that's a concern for you. Otherwise, again, I'm very happy to uh, chit chat about anything that you want. Uh, yeah, I still don't understand the YSCD. I still don't understand the question. I'm so sorry. With the blue or red, if you want to reframe that, I'm not the brightest sometimes. I'll give you that. So yeah. One of the questions I had the other day was around why my family and I moved to the UK. And the primary reason is my husband is British, but we'd always planned to move when we had kids because, it just seems like the education system, even before Trump was in office, the education system, the healthcare system, economics, the level of racism, like everything was so much better in the UK. And then, of course, 2016 happened, COVID happened, and we were like, yeah, we got to get the fuck out of here. So we were planning on moving when my now 5-year-old got into like kindergarten and stuff so we could start her in school over here. But again, after Trump, we were like, let's go and get the ball rolling. And thank goodness we were able to escape before his second term. Okay. So yeah, we're very happy about our decision. If you have any questions about that, definitely let me know because I've seen a couple of like lives where they're like, "Oh, the U.S. is better than the U.K. Debate me," and I'm like, "No, not at all, not in the least." So if you think that it is, or you have again a difference of opinion, I'd absolutely love to know. I don't like typing so many words, don't make sense. You asked what makes America great. I said me. Oh, you make America great. Yes, you do. Like I said, I love Americans. I love my brothers and sisters in America. But as far as the systemic nature, the institution of America, I'm not I can't say that I'm a fan. Depends on your situation, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I think if your situation is being a minority, being disabled, being gay, being trans, being a woman, being a child, being a foreigner, speaking a different language, having a financial situation, literally anything, I think that America's not going to be the best for your situation. So yeah, I think any situation other than you are a well-to-do English speaking white man, yeah, I think the UK or any other place aside from America is going to be better than America. Okay, that didn't go very far. Sorry, I think we had a bit of a situation, so gonna try to manage that. Change some clothes. Let's see. Saw a guy on here who was locked up for 20 years, and he said his biggest shot getting out was how mean America has, right? How mean America has become. That is facts. America is just mean. But you know what's so crazy? I don't think that it has become more mean. I think it was always pretty goddamn mean. Again, especially if you were not a white man, a heteronormative white man. I think that America was quite mean. I think what Trump, the first term of Trump, and even now, especially what it allowed was for those people who were mean and bigots to feel more comfortable in their hatred, to feel more emboldened and empowered to be hateful. So I think it was always there, especially as a black woman. Are you okay, baby? You okay, baby? I'm sorry. But yeah, I agree. I just think it's a little tricky. Because as a black woman growing up, I've felt the microaggressions and the outright racism and the institutionalized racism and the systemic racism and the healthcare racism. I felt all of that. So it's for it to be out in the open now is really quite sad. Someone targeted me and trying to dry up my opportunities. So it's hard, but I have to celebrate me. America has a lot of problems. When you mean dry up opportunities, does that mean that you are like, I guess, on the anti side of DEI? Or is that what you're referring to? Or could you explain? And thank you for clarifying. I'm going to agree with you. I think you are a really good part of what makes America great. It's definitely the people, because it sure as fuck isn't the laws or the anything else. I can't imagine. Um, I feel like that's what's so sad to me is when it comes to the people, we think there's all these divisions. We think it's right and left and red and blue and rich and poor and all this. And I think it's more ultra rich versus everybody else. But then you try to say, oh, it's class, not race, and it's like, no, it's race, and a lot of that actually stems from a lot of class issues stem from race. So it's tricky to address these problems because you could fall prey to that same thinking of, oh, well, we're differentiated by race, so we have to address race, but is that differentiating pushing us further apart? So as a black person who works in the or has worked in the DEI space, I think that's the trickiest part of trying to again find common ground with any of this. But yeah, very happy to unpack it with anybody if you want to call or just share your thoughts on I guess the DEI space and how to combat racism, how to combat our isms. People are taking pleasure in seeing others suffer as they themselves suffer. Oh my God, it's absolutely cut off your head despite your face. It's insane. It's insane. I literally talked to a gentleman yesterday, very, very, I'd say alt right. And he said that he didn't like that his taxes went to public schools because immigrant children get access to the free education, basically. And I was like, I just feel like that's a sad way to think that I would rather children suffer. I'm gonna prevent my own kids from having a solid public education system because I don't want this one particular group to have anything. Like I just thought that was so sad, and I'm glad I feel like in the course of our conversation, I think we did find a lot of common ground with each other, but that was just a really sad place to see somebody be living, if that makes sense. I wasn't on any side, and people stole and hacked, I guess, to win the election and blame me. What? I wasn't on any side, and people stole and hacked, I guess, to win the election and blame me. Because you said you did not vote, so you're feeling blame for Trump being in office because you did not vote, and that's people are now blaming you for not having voted. Am I hearing you correctly? Let me know if I've got that right or wrong. I like doing it this way. I was doing the live on I have a Mac, and it's really difficult to stream to TikTok and then I can't like see people. But if you follow, I'll gladly follow you back. And again, if you're feeling brave, if you're feeling bold, and you want to give me a call, you are more than welcome to do so. I am here at your disposal. I think that was one of the Dems' tactics to blame people who didn't vote for Trump winning. Is that what you're saying? They say we shouldn't send money to Ukraine. We should spend it here. But yeah, I don't think we actually sent a super huge amount of money to Ukraine. I thought we were sending like weapons and things like that. And then the money that we did send, I think it was, wasn't it like congressionally approved? It wasn't like it just came out of nowhere. They also complain about social welfare spending to help others. They do. And what's so crazy is you can't get welfare without a social security card. You can't get welfare if you're an undocumented citizen, so or undocumented immigrant. And so I think it's so funny that people are like, "Oh, they're coming here and taking all our resources." No, immigrants come over here and spend so much money on sales tax, vehicle tax, income tax, something in the way of like $80 billion. So I mean, we get so much more money from what immigrants contribute to America than what we give back to them for whatever. I mean, we don't. There's no welfare for immigrants that I'm aware of. Again, if I'm wrong, I'd love for somebody to correct me. Let me know. But yeah, I don't understand how people get mad about even if there was all this money going to support people who had nothing. Why is your anger directed towards people who have nothing and not towards the people who have everything and are trying to convince you that? In fact, I heard a really good analogy. It was something like the people who make $10,000 an hour are convincing the people who make $25 an hour that it's the people who make $7 an hour who they should be upset with. And I think that just kind of sums it up. Like, it's absolutely a situation where thank you. That really moved me too. Yeah, it's just a situation where we're the wool is being pulled over our eyes. Back in the day, we're talking about racism back in the day when even where I'm from a city called Charlotte, North Carolina. And I'm sorry, I was told, oh, hey, chef, let's just talk about you. I was told that I was popular with many contacts in community work, but people were bribed to support, I'm guessing, the other candidate. You still can't. No, I can't bring up guests. I'm trying it this way, like through the live on my phone, and it's still like, nope. So I'm sorry. So again, if you want to call in, you're absolutely welcome to. And chef, like if you press *67 before you call people, that blocks your number from their caller ID. Just a tip, because I know that was a big concern for you. But yeah, I don't even know what I was saying before. I'm so sorry. This idea that a billionaire is looking out for the best interests of thousandaires is insane to me. I swear. Dims and hate the red. I'm not a Democrat. I'm definitely liberal and definitely more, definitely more left leaning. I vote unaffiliated, but still, I think you could solidly put me in that category. And so if I, as just a singular anecdotal example, can help you to understand that it's not all leaning liberal people who hate the red. I absolutely do not hate the red or the right or Republicans or MAGA. I don't hate white supremacists. I don't hate Nazis. If anything, I feel very sorry for them that they are mired in this ultra gullible way of thinking, and like we were talking about earlier, like to a degree that actually harms them. Like the things that they actively try to tear down resources for them. And I just think that's sad. So I'm not here to Chef says I use text now. It's a ghost number. You said. No, you and I had a civil conversation for 2 hours. I am MAGA. Yeah, and do I hate you? Do you feel like in our very long conversation that I hated you? Like it's that I'm on a social media platform called Gab. Now that is extremely alt-right. I should show the screenshot of that sometime. Just go through any day's wall of posts, and it is it's like inward this and Jew that, and oh, it's so mean. It's so mean. But I find that like even there, you're still able to like talk to people and get like a connection with people. So it's really quite interesting how some people can come at you with hate, but as long as you understand, like, you don't have to give that back. We're all the same here. Again, we have so much more in common with each other than anybody below the 0.001% has with Elon Musk and Donald Trump and whoever else. And even on Gab, that was one of the things that a really, really, really far right person, white supremacist man, we finally got around to. He basically told me that he felt like he hates black people because he knows that black people hate him. And I was like, well, sir, if I can be that one anecdote for you, because why I see you're saying it's not me, but where you're from, this was the climate if they felt you were not on their team. Yeah, and I think it's funny because Chef expressed that he had that same kind of situation where if you, it's almost like if you believe differently because you voted for Trump or because you're MAGA, then everybody abandons you or starts to conflate you with being, a Nazi or white supremacist and stuff. And it's like, okay, I get it. I can see how that can be very painful. I really do. And that's not good. That's not a good place to be. So anytime you can have, again, I think discourse, we can find some common ground. Hopefully that helps you to take that into the world and look at other people who are on the left and see them a little bit differently. Yeah. Oh, happy Valentine's Day to everybody and to you, Chef. He said, I felt love. That's why I came back for Valentine's Day. You're so sweet. What did you guys do for Valentine's Day? I'd love to know if you and the missus had a nice evening, or if anybody else had any tips and tricks for Valentine's Day. My sweet husband. Now, here's the thing, right? My husband, I love him. I couldn't love a person more. He is my heart and my soul. But one of the things that we're kind of just discovering in our relationship is that he is aromantic and asexual. And so, like, he's on that spectrum of the A spec, excuse me. And so it's been really interesting because I've kind of like, since I discovered this, I've kind of been like, okay, so I now see how he has to operate and how he has to move. And yet I wake up this morning and he bought me this beautiful candle and sweet mug, and it had a sweet card for me and a card for our daughter. And it was just so sweet. So I was like, oh my God, look at him, like being super romantic, even though it's not something that, he is naturally inclined to do or be. So I thought that was really, really sweet. Yeah, I don't know. Have you guys experienced, or do you have friends or people that who are on the ace spectrum, whether they're aromantic, agender, asexual? It's an interesting world. It really, really is. In fact, my biggest TikTok post, something like tens of thousands of views, when again, I'm a baby TikToker, was about me kind of sharing that story about aromanticism and how my husband and I deal with that, because I'm very allosexual. So it's just interesting. It's an interesting world that I think is much bigger than I would have assumed. No, I hang out with Christian conservatives. So what's funny is I'm willing to bet that a lot of the, what do you call it? Like prudishness of Christian conservatives tends to perhaps come from maybe people who were asexual before that label was a thing. And so because they didn't have a problem with celibacy, that they probably built that into being closer to God, or what a minister or priest or monk had to be or do, or what nuns had to be or do. So I'd be interested to know how historically things like asexuality and aromanticism impacted religion. How is dating where you are? I would not know. I've been married for 10 years. I've been with my husband for 14 years. So sorry, I'm not going to be able to help you there. I can tell you right now, like, I could not imagine being in that world of dating. And if you're a man or if you're a gentleman listening, uh, what's dating like for you? Like if you're single, especially. Um, I'm really really interested to know because I have this assumption that, and maybe because I listened to a book by Steve Harvey years ago, I don't know. It was like like act like a lady, think like a man, something like that. And in it, he was talking about how interesting. In it, he was talking about how men don't feel like men until they are, financially sound. They're working, bringing home a job. Men don't feel like men until they're, able to take care of their woman and take care of the bills and this and that. And so, given the fact that the economy is such shit in America, I'm curious to know, A, is that true? And B, if because finances are so much more difficult in America right now, how does that impact dating as it pertains to your desire to date or your ability to make something more serious if you do find someone you like? Just very curious about those things. A chef says, I don't acknowledge Black History Month because I don't think that history should be reduced. The only thing is, history is really quite reduced as it stands. Like if you did not have Black history is already replete throughout American history, so it's really hard to separate it. But still, even so, without a distinct focus on Black history and the people who've made so many contributions to the growth of America, I think that it's one of those things where you only get the smaller picture. You only get the quick story of Christopher Columbus. You don't hear anything that happened with the whole 1619 project. You don't hear about things that happened in slavery. You just kind of hear about the plantation owners. You hear about Thomas Jefferson. You don't really get to go into depth about, how he owned slaves and how George Washington owned slaves and how, the different institutions around slavery impacted the wars and all that. So I think without the ability to actually focus on Black history, we're left with this really quick Cliff Notes outline version of history that tends to leave those Black people's contributions out. So, I mean, it's why, like Christopher, we have a Columbus Day when, in fact, if we actually look at what what really happened with, the first peoples that really came to America and how the slave trade started, like we put a lot more emphasis, I think. Oh gosh, oh honey, okay, you can't do that. No, 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 you're gonna hurt yourself. No, 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 no. Let's put that over there. So sorry. Yeah, so I mean that's just my thoughts. I'd love to know what rubs you the wrong way about Black history, or what do you feel is being reductionist about Black history? Um, let's see. Give us places outside the U.S. Oh gosh, pretty much anywhere in South America. I would get the fuck out of America and go to South America. If I wasn't in England, I'd probably try to go to like, I don't fucking know, Chile or Ecuador or somewhere like, again, in South America, because they have a lot uh more easier routes to citizenship or to actually like being a digital nomad if you want to work remote in America but still like live outside of the country. Um, if you're going to come to Europe, I would say Scotland has, especially if you have Scottish heritage, they have much easier routes uh, to getting into the country, gaining citizenship, being able to take advantage of like, again, the benefits and healthcare and stuff like that. My best friend lives in Dalian, China. Um, that's not recommended. Like it's a beautiful. China is amazing. China is absolutely amazing. Especially since I've been on Xiao Hongshu Red Note. and just seeing how much better their like work-life balance is over there. There's literally no homeless epidemic. They brought 500 million of their citizens out of poverty and into the middle class there. It's so modern and beautiful and clean. Like China's amazing. But as far as like moving there, living there, it's very difficult to get your documentation in order and stuff like that. It took him like 3 years to start his business, so it's not easy. But if you can go to China or Asia, especially like Japan, South Korea, beautiful, beautiful places to live. You don't hear about Reconstruction, the most important part of this nation's history, exactly. And then you also don't hear about things like how they wrecked it, like Tulsa and Wilmington and all the different places that were black meccas and economic meccas that white people essentially bombed out of existence because they were haters. Even stuff as simple as like our highway system in America. A lot of it bisects and cuts through like actual neighborhoods that were black and doing well in order to eradicate like whole neighborhoods. You'll see like lakes, man-made lakes, that if you dredged, there would be a whole black community under there. So, I mean, they just fucked with us. They fucked with us so hard. They would say like, okay, we're going to institute, Chef knows about this, about redlining and stuff. We're going to institute redlining and gerrymandering and stuff. And that's going to help us preserve white areas versus black areas. And then to see how that, to this day, there's this thing called an Opportunity Atlas. Go to opportunityatlas.com. And you can see why my shirts stay stretched. She likes to like jack me up. But like, go to opportunityatlas.com and you will see, but who, like, by who? By the government. like that's why we say racism is systemic and institutionalized, because it was the law and governments. In fact, you wouldn't even have police if it wasn't for the need for militias to enforce slavery. But again, if you go to the opportunityatlas.com, it's a map showing how different neighborhoods and zip codes to this day have economic disparities, as in there's like an economic mobility matrix you can look at, and it shows that if you're born in a particular zip code, you can tell right away that you have like a 90% chance of staying at the economic level of your parents. So there's so little economic mobility, and we can still tell to this day, based on, again, zip codes and locations and neighborhoods, how well a community is going to do based on, again, shit that they started way back in the day with, like, oh gosh, honey, stuff with like gerrymandering, redlining and stuff like that. So it's, I mean, how is that not important to know? How is that not important to understand? How is that piece of Black history not just American history? How is that being reductionist? Like, again, help me understand your thinking there. Yes, and this is what I'm experiencing. Why? Yeah, check out the opportunityatlas.com. And to be honest with you, when I bought my first home, and I was a first-time home buyer, stuff like that can actually give you a bit of an advantage because of some DEI programs. So there are some DEI programs that a lot of mortgage companies and banks will institute to try to target lower income areas. So they'll help you with like down payment assistance and things like that. So if you are looking for a house, you might do well to look for an area that is regentrifying, or it's in a lower income area now, or it's kind of low on the opportunity task force matrix now, but you're starting to again see some growth, or a steady influx of growth, or a steady influx of businesses in the area, things like that. So you can actually use some of that to your advantage to, again, take advantage of programs that are meant to help to build those areas up. So you become one of those new residents who is contributing to the area, contributing your tax dollars, helping the schools with your tax dollars and with your new construction there and stuff like that. So it's a horrible thing, but there are ways to try and hopefully, again, uh, understand the situation and use it to your advantage a little bit. Redlining was not selling property in certain places. What was redlining? I mean, that's technically kind of what it is. It's more about who they would and would not give a mortgage to, or how they would rate your credit essentially for different areas. The original deed on my mother's home says it's illegal to sell to black people. Damn. Wow. That sucks. I read a really good book recently. The Tipping Point, Revenge of the Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. And it talked a lot about how, like that's like a real thing. Like in this one neighborhood, try to actually mandate, okay, if we have 13% black people and 50% white people, and we want to have this balance in order to prevent white flight. So that's another common term around the racism that exists in the real estate industry is white flight. Once you have a certain amount of black people that move into a neighborhood, all the white people leave, and then it just becomes like a black neighborhood, which again doesn't get the same resources and level of funding that other white areas do. And so to prevent white flight, in Revenge of the Tipping Point, Malcolm Gladwell talks about this community that sought to keep the statistically like demographic percentages in exact certain way so that they could prevent white flight and keep the property values of their neighborhood in place while still offering more residences to black people in a mixed community than they had seen in other areas. So it got to a point where they even had to start denying black people entry into this community that's meant to have more black people just so they could keep that balance and prevent the white flight that would otherwise cause that neighborhood to decline and stop receiving the same level of like funding that other neighborhoods did. So I think it's just interesting. So I wonder if your mom's house was in a situation like that. Was it where they were deliberately trying to keep races at a certain percentage for good reasons at the end of the day, like they wanted to try to prevent white flight, or was it just done in a very racist way because they didn't want black people coming? I hate to say, but it probably sounds like the latter because it just says they can't sell to black people in general. That's not like, oh, we're trying to maintain this, this very nuanced percentage. Howard Stern tells a funny story about how his family was the last non-black family on the block. And he's Jewish, right? So, oh my gosh, I just learned recently that one of the reasons that the whole Israel thing even came to be was because America was so, what is it when you're racist? They were so anti-Semitic that they didn't want to have all these Jewish immigrants come in. So when they were like, we're trying to pick a place for us to have a homeland, where they are in Palestine and Gaza and all that, they had options. They could have gone to Argentina. That was like high on their list of places to go. But they chose, Israel, where Israel is now, in the West Bank. And America was like, yes, we're going to support that. Yes, go there, because we do not want Jewish people coming here. And how fucked up is that? How fucked up is that? So I'm thinking, oh, it's just because they're Zionists. And, it's all these Christian Zionists who want Israel to have a homeland so they can set off the apocalypse, basically. And I'm not even fucking bullshitting about that. Like, that's really why Christian Zionists want to have Israel be a thing. Look it up. I'm so serious. And I see we have a call. So I'll hush a bit. Isn't the original Jewish homeland in Ethiopia according to the Bible? That's what I've seen too. Hi, this is Sophie. What's your name?
Hey, what's up? This is the crazy Chef TikTok.
Chef. How are you? Let me try to put this on the. Uh, and
I'm in my
I got
car, not
a
way.
echo. I'm trying to see if I can put it on
Yeah,
my.
yeah, yeah. You're like 10 seconds ahead.
All right,
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'm gonna try something because I have I'm doing TikTok differently, and so I want to make sure folks on other places can hear. So, and I have a Mac, so I think that's why everything hates me. All right, let's see. Can you hear me
Yeah, like
now?
you're 5 seconds ahead of my phone than you are on TikTok.
Okay, so can you mute your TikTok and let's chat just from the phone? Let's see if that helps a little bit.
Yeah, I have my phone,
Okay,
completely
voice,
volume
can you
off
hear
right
now?
now. So yeah, I
Okay.
hear.
All right, cool. Just making sure it's coming through. I don't know if I'm going to stream this way moving forward because it's a little tricky. Okay, so he can hear, and I think it's fine on YouTube and everywhere else too. So goodness, technology, friends. I'm sorry. So hey, so what's on your mind tonight? How are you? Happy Valentine's Day.
You're happy Valentine's Day. I mean, listening to you is like you're such an odd individual.
You
You're
said
all
that
over the
last
place
night. What is so odd about me?
because you say you love the color red, but then you say the color red is ugly. It's like you sit there and you're like so hard gun co liberal, but then you sit there and push it. Oh, but these left right things are great. It's just like it don't make sense.
Well, like give me an
You talk
example
about
of
it's like
something I was it sounds like you're saying I'm being a little bit hypocritical. What am I being a little hypocritical about?
okay, so I mean, okay, so like one big. Wait, well, how do you feel about racism?
Well, I don't think you can be racist and be a good person.
Do you think that a black person can be racist?
Yeah.
Do you think that BLM has racist ideology?
I think people who think that, I do not. I think people who think that have a misunderstanding of what racism means. Like even the previous question that you asked, uh yeah, I don't get that. Like I get these
Okay,
flags for personal information. I'm
so
not saying anything.
so,
But
so
but
my argument is BLM pushes black power.
oh
The
no,
the
see, I don't have a problem.
3K pushes white power.
I don't have a problem with that. I think that what happens is what happens is you take a dictionary definition as opposed to the I guess the way that we have to live it, if that makes sense. So when you say like can black people be racist? Technically, by the technical Webster's dictionary definition, no. Black people can't be racist. They can be prejudiced, but because they don't have the institutional power to actually have any kind of effect with their racism, no. But I will give
Okay.
people who try to make that argument. I'll give it to them that sure, if you want to say just by definition of how uh, some black people can hate on white people or hate on other black people, then yeah, if you want to call that racism, I get it. That's fine. But when you say like, oh,
What is
so,
racist?
again, like it just, I think it depends on who's saying it. The technical definition is very different than I think how people use it just in regular nomenclature, or regular
Okay, so the
vocabulary.
definition is characterized by or showing prejudice, discrimination, or something against a person or people whom based on their membership or a particular racial ethnic group, typically one that a minority marginalized.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
where people get confused is typically marginalized. So, do you not think that white people are typically marginalized?
No, not at all. No. White women, maybe. Disabled white people, maybe. LGBTQIA white
No.
people, maybe, but not
Do you
not
know
white men.
who,
No.
do you know who I think the most discriminated against person is in society, especially American society?
Who?
Straight white Christian men.
Well, here's the thing. That's that again, it has to do with who can actually impact someone with their hate
Okay.
or with their bigotry.
Okay.
So when you see
Okay.
like a black person who's really mad at a white person, like I can call a white person a cracker, that doesn't that doesn't intimate that I'm going to, you know, unalive that person. It doesn't intimate that I don't
So,
respect their entire race. It might be
so
my gripe with this one, particular individual. But for a white Christian male, straight male to attack a minority, especially like a black person, there's so much weight behind that. There's so much weight
and
behind that.
call them a what? And call them a what?
If you were to call me the N-word, um like
Okay,
if you were to
there.
come at me
Let
and
me stop
seriously call me
you.
the N-word,
Okay.
that has a lot more
What?
weight to me. That instills a
Okay, so
lot more
100.
fear in my heart than I think I could ever impact someone by calling them a cracker.
Okay, so let me tell you one thing.
Sure.
Openly and freely, you can call a white man a cracker, a gringo, any number of racial slurs, but you yourself just used a letter to describe a racial slur towards a black person. You yourself, a
Because
black woman,
that's how
could
bad
not
it is.
say the word
Oh, I can
associated
say
with
it.
the N.
I can absolutely say it. I just don't want to get dinged on TikTok.
Anybody, yeah, but anybody can say it. But that's my whole point. You, as a black person, can call a white person any racial slur you want with no repercussions. But a white person cannot call a black person a racial slur without getting repercussions.
So how is that
If a
saying what?
white,
How's that
if
different than what
if
I'm saying? That a white person calling a black person a slur has more weight, has more ominous intention than a black
because
person calling a white person anything. Palm
because you
colored,
say that a black person
mayo complexion.
but that a black person ability to call a white person a slur and a white person is unable to call a black person a slur is racist in itself because you say that because of the color of your skin, your words have less power. So, so for you to call a white man a cracker or a honky is very minimal. You're very weak. But for a white man to call you the N word, as you put it yourself, is very powerful. So you are saying that a man is so much more powerful than you, a black woman, that he cannot use a word in its entirety.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
you
so
are saying that
how are we saying different things?
you are saying that you are a weak individual.
Yes, when it
You were
comes
telling me
to
that
the
white
hierarchy
men
of
are
race in America, absolutely.
okay. So what's your argument on affirmative action and DEI?
I am very
Do
pro
you,
both of those things.
so you're very pro racism.
Now, again, you just said yourself that racism is a prejudice, a discrimination against someone due to typically it's skin color.
Correct.
How is promoting uh, empowerment, power, looking at the beauty and the goodness of something? How is that how is an appreciation for something taking another group down just by lifting up one group? How is that automatically suddenly putting another group down.
Okay, I don't know what you went to school for. I don't know what your career path is or whatever. But let's say you are I don't know. Give me a career.
A doctor.
Okay, so you're a black woman doctor. You just finished medical school. You've had one malpractice case because you messed up a surgery. Fresh out of medical school. Me, a white man, I've been practicing medicine for 20 years, and I've never had a medical malpractice. But a position comes in a new medical facility, making say $250,000. You're fresh out of medical school. I'm making say 150,000. But the profession that they gave you the position, making $250,000 because you're a black woman, and they don't give me the position because I'm a white man.
Again, like
We had
that's
we had the same education, we had the same background. You have one strike against you. I have zero. But you get the position because you're a black woman. That is racist in itself. That is why DEI needs to go away.
well, sweetie,
Because
that's where we're not having a miscommunication so much as you have been misinformed. Like, so it sounds like you believe that what DEI and affirmative action mean, and you, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like what you think they mean is that you are lowering the standards to get into a job or into a university, because you have to lower the standards in order to have people who are minorities fill those roles. You have
correct.
to, and again, that's not what DEI is or does. That's not what affirmative action
So,
is or
oh,
does.
okay, so
You still have to
let me
be
ask you one question.
sure.
So DEI and affirmative action.
Uh huh.
You have a straight white male. You have a straight white male.
Mm-hmm.
You have a black woman. You have a transgender male. You have a black, Asian people. Where does each person fall on the spectrum? We all have the same education. We all have the same experience. But you have a straight white Christian male. You have a gay white atheist. You have a black woman Christian. You have transgender black. On that line, who's going to get the job? Who won't get the job in that aspect? If everybody has the same credentials, they all have the same education, they all have the same knowledge, they all have the same experience, but you have a straight white Christian man going against every other gender, every other race, every other sex, every other religion. You have a straight white Christian male going against Muslims and Jews and atheists. You have a straight man going against gays. You have a white man going against Asians and blacks and Latinos. You have a man going against women and every other spectrum on the LGBTQ spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
What chance does that straight white man have in society, in DEI, and affirmative action in that?
Well, again, first of all, the most qualified person, would get that job. If all the qualifications are equal, then I would imagine they would move on to some other form of testing, have a preliminary meet and greet with their team or potential employees who would work under them. They would make those determinations just like they would in any other situation if it was only white men. The difference is now you have this wide variety of people at the table to be able to even have their application looked at, to even get that interview. That's really all it's saying. But the job would not fall to someone who is less qualified. They would not have to lower their standards in any way, shape, or form to then hire someone who checks a certain box. And the thing about it is that what we're talking about is solidly affirmative action. That's what we're talking about. And if you want to look at what has happened since affirmative action was taken away by the Supreme Court, almost a year ago now, the effects of that.
Because it's deemed racist.
Say that one more time.
It's deemed racist.
It was not deemed racist. It was deemed no longer necessary. It wasn't deemed racist. Again, because it's not racist to try and promote someone. So it sounds like what you're saying is that you want to take away opportunities from black people essentially, or all these other different types of folks, in order to give more opportunities to white men.
No, I think that Martin Luther King said it himself. Judge me not by the color of my skin, but the content of my character. I know black men that are better than white men. I know gay men that are better than white women.
Well, here's the thing then.
I don't judge.
We're saying the exact same thing. Because all I'm saying is by being pro DEI, I'm saying that I think that the people who work really hard, who put in the effort, who've gotten the schooling, who have the degrees, who have the qualifications, who have the experience, who did the internships, who have the reference letters, who did all the things, they should have the same opportunity to interview for a position or apply to a job that anybody else does, whether that person be white, black, or whatever. And then once they get that foot in the door, they should be able to.
DEI, affirmative action, it negates that.
No, DEI and affirmative action enable that, sweetie. That's where we're never going to be on the same page if you refuse to accept that you have been misinformed. And honestly, what does it hurt you to accept that you might have been wrong on this one? It's not about lowering standards. It's not about reducing qualifications. And again, we're talking about affirmative action, and that program has been removed. Hi, baby. And since that program has been removed, guess what? It hasn't changed how many black people have been impacted. It's hurt white women. It's hurt Asian people. So it's funny that,
affirmative action puts Christian straight white men on the very bottom and boosts everybody else. But let me ask you one hypothetical question.
It doesn't, but go ahead. Sorry, yes. Go ahead.
Did you go to college?
Yes, I did, yes.
Did you live in a dorm?
Yeah.
So you had a roommate?
I did.
If you was given the option to live in a open dorm where women from all races are able to live in the dorm, or to live in a dorm that was only a black-only dorm, would you live in a black-only dorm, or would you live in a dorm with white women and Asian women?
Well, I went to an HBCU, so I was in a black-only dorm for all intents and purposes. We did have white people at my school, though, and we did have white people in our dorms, and it was never an issue. So I don't foresee that being a problem if I was.
So you went to a predominantly black college?
Yes. For the first 2 years of my education, and then I went to a traditional public university where there were more white people than black people by a long stretch of the imagination. So I got the best of both worlds, and in both instances, again, there was no real issue with selecting where I wanted to live. It was all good. And again, I think what you're trying to get to is that people would choose to live with people who look like them before they would choose to live with people who don't look like them. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Would you prefer having a roommate that is a black woman, or would you be comfortable living with a white woman?
Yeah, I'd be absolutely comfortable. And I'm the type of, I can't speak for everybody. I can't speak for all black people. I can't speak for all people. But I'm the type of person, I actively look for people who are very different from me to live with, to learn from.
That's one big argument against the DEI and all that. It's like back in the 50s, my parents told me the horrors of segregation.
Mm-hmm.
You being a black woman had to drink off of a water fountain in the sun is dirty and grimy, and a white person's able to go and drink off of a nice clean water fountain that's in a shade. So you drinking hot water, and a white person, I think that's ridiculous.
Well, I learned something recently.
You being a black person sitting in the back of the bus and a white person sitting in front, I think that you, as a human being, has the same rights to civilization, society, and a life of freedom, love, and everything
Uh-huh.
as a white person.
Sure.
I'm not looking at you as a black woman. I'm looking at you as a human being,
But see that's
misinformed,
where
misguided.
this whole colorblind thing of, oh, you're not seeing race, that actually does me more of a disservice, because there are things that impact my world because of my blackness and because of my femininity and because of, all these other things that you see right away when you look at me. So that's not a
But now we're like,
necessarily positive thing for me to hear. Like I appreciate that you strive for, that rose colored glasses, those lenses, but
okay,
that doesn't
I'm
do
looking
me a service. If
I'm looking at you as a light skinned colored woman, a
I'm
beautifully tan lady.
no, thank
That's
you
how I'm
and
looking at
all, but I mean
you. If you
mhm.
look at me, my skin tone's darker than your hair.
No, I
Okay,
mean, you said, but at the same time, like
so
when somebody looks at you, they're not gonna mistake you for a black man. You said that has
it will work.
happened to you
I've
occasionally. I think you said yesterday, but that's not
I've,
a
I've
thing that
never
you have to
had any.
contend with.
I've I've never had anybody judge me on the color of my skin in person to my face, outside other than online or confronting a liberal. You know, people, anti-Trump people. I walk up, I'm wearing my hat, I'm a dark black man. And I'm like, make America great again. God bless you, my friend. And
Uh-huh.
they call me,
They call
what
you
do
a
you call me?
what?
An uncle.
I'm so sorry. Like literally, my baby is very loud. What they call you a
So
what? Sorry.
an Uncle Tom, Uncle
Oh,
Tom. So,
that's unfortunate.
and I'm like, okay, so basically, on my dad's side, immigrated to America. On my mom's side, we've had our freedom since the 1700s. So I'm not aligned with your slavery, little shit down there, dude.
Well, I think
I'm
we're
not from slavery.
sure, but
I come from freedom.
I think what happens then is because you're darker complected, maybe that gives you this false sense of camaraderie or assimilation to and with minorities when honestly, like, I think that obscures the fact that you have lived your life essentially not as a black man, though. Like, so even if it's a first time, first impression kind of a thing that you receive, maybe similar treatment to what
Okay,
you
so taking that,
anticipate a black person might get, you're still never going to
okay.
get the same treatment
So
or
let's
have
take
the
that
same
argument. Let's take that argument.
microaggressions that a black man does. And I'm sorry, am I talking over you? What did you say?
How about Obama?
Again, Obama lives his life. He walks through this world as a black man. If you did not know that his mom was white, you would approach him and treat him like a black man. And so that's all I'm saying is that I don't think that, given the way you describe yourself, that that's how you are encountered by people.
See, Obama's not black. Obama's colored.
Well, and
You're not black. You're a colored woman.
no,
That's how I'm
I asked you yesterday if you could give me your definition of colored, because I think that you might want to be careful saying, like, I don't care, I don't care, but to call like a black person colored is it could be construed as a offensive thing, because before we were African Americans, before we were black Americans or just black,
Okay,
white
so it's
people would
Mexican.
derogatorily call us colored people.
Okay, so you look at a dark skinned Mexican, they're colored. You look at the color of your hair, that's black. You look at your skin's brown.
Uh-huh. Well,
So
I
you're
would
not black,
say
you're
I would
brown.
not to get like into the nuance and the weeds of it, but if I were in your shoes, I'm sorry, my bones are cracking. If I were in your shoes, I would just tweak my language to perhaps say people of color or you're a person of color instead of saying color, just because that particular word was used in a way that was very similar to, you know, calling somebody a boy or calling somebody the N word, you know. So
So what about white?
what
You
about
you
white
call
people?
you call Trump a white man.
Yeah, but if he were mixed
So what's
or
the
whatever,
difference between
I
you
wouldn't
calling
call him colored. If I were to say color in any sort of capacity, I would say he was a person of color. But we know
do you
Trump is not.
do you consider yourself an African American?
I'm fine with that moniker, but I think of myself more as the Black American because I'm not like Charlize Theron. I'm not actually from Africa. But I think
Do you know
honestly, I want to
do
pick
you know
up
who I consider African American?
Elon Musk, and
Elon Musk is an African
he
American.
is an African American. He's an African Canadian, to be more specific. But the African
Yeah,
Canadian American.
he has a Canadian citizenship, but he
Yeah,
considers himself
before
an
that
American.
trumps his
He lives in
American
America full
citizenship.
time.
But here's the
He lives in
thing.
America full time.
I think we're getting really
He
far
is an
away
American.
from your point regarding DEI and choosing to live with uh specific races and things. Can you explain where you were going with that? Because I don't want you to lose your train of thought.
Well, my argument is DEI and affirmative action are racist ideologies in America, and I'm grateful that President Trump did executive orders to do away with those. To at least give us
Yeah.
4 years to heal from that damage.
Well,
And
again,
hopefully, over the next 4 years,
hmm
we can come together as a country again. We're probably going to have J.D. Vance as president for the next, from 2028 to, into the 30s. So it's like we have a lot of healing to do. We have a lot of growth to do. And right now, President Trump is doing so many great things. He's putting an end to the war in Gaza. If Gaza don't release the hostages Saturday, tomorrow, there's going to be all hell to pay.
well, you
We're
realize
like 12
Biden
hours away from
initiated
that.
this ceasefire. So if you're happy about
No,
this
no,
war
no,
coming to a
no,
close,
no,
Biden
ma'am.
is the one
Absolutely,
who brought it to a close.
absolutely not.
Um,
Absolutely not.
well,
No. So what
here's the
you're
thing.
arguing, so what
I don't want you to
your
I don't
argument
want
is,
you to get far away from your point with the DEI thing. Look, can we unpack that a little bit?
I thought it was already unpacked, and
No, because
we got over
I
the
think
war,
I feel
and
as though
you're saying that.
you are operating from misinformation. I genuinely think that you
No,
still believe, despite me telling you otherwise, that
I
DEI means a
you as a
lowering of
black.
standards, and affirmative action means a lowering of
So
standards, and that's just not true.
so so if you was to get a job,
Uh huh.
okay, I don't know what your career path is, but let's say you are, I don't know, give me a career path.
I mean, again, we've already kind of gone down this road, but
Okay,
why do you
okay,
have a hard time
I'm sure I.
believing me when I tell you that if I were to go
I
for a job against you as a white man, that they're not going to hire me just because I'm
okay,
black.
so
They're not going to lower standards in order to hire me on. Like I still have to be just as qualified. And if anything,
but me,
black people especially are typically overqualified for positions. So why is that
okay,
difficult for you to accept?
so me as a black man, as an airline pilot with 25 years, flight experience, okay, if you was to come into my cabin as a gay black trans woman, and you take my position with only 5 years experience, I would be it.
But again,
I would
that
be
does
a
not
I would
happen.
be offended.
What company would want to hire the less experienced, less qualified
I
person?
work. Okay, American Airlines actually did that. So I was put into work for American Airlines, and they put their DEI practice into place, and they offered me a position working for them.
Hmm.
and a significant increase in pay. And I found, and, I did my research and I found out that their DEI practices were putting me over men that have and women that have far more experience than I have. My flight career started in '99.
Okay.
Okay, so I have 25 years experience. I'm 44 years old.
Uh-huh.
They were putting me ahead of people that had 30 years experience. They were ready to retire, and to jump up ahead of my plane.
But why would you feel that that is the only criteria or variable that they're looking at?
Because I talked to the management, they said yes, DEI took a handle on it.
And
I
this
told them
happened.
I find it to be offensive. I told them that I find it to be offensive because you're hiring me to take a seat as a black man when you feel that there are white men that are better qualified than me, but the only reason I get the seat is because I'm a black man.
But again,
And
that's
the recruiter said, that's the DEI practices that we're following right now, sir. And I said, give it to another person because I'm refusing this position. And then I walked out of the interview.
well,
So that's why I have a problem with DEI, because I don't think I am not more qualified than another person for my same exact position because of the color of my skin. I want to be in that position because I am a better pilot.
Well, so I honestly feel very sad that you didn't take the opportunity, given that, again, they're not going to hire someone who is less qualified. So just because you had less years of experience, perhaps you had more aptitude when it came to the actual piloting. Maybe you had better team member reports and your team vouched for you, or you had a mentor who said, you know what, yes, he's better. I don't know what it was, but all I'm saying is for you to then reduce your own worth down to your skin color. That's not what DEI or affirmative action was intended to do. Because again, it wasn't just because you were black. It's because there's so many other things that make you just as qualified.
I have an
Sorry.
accident and loss of certification for 18 months.
Say that one more time. Sorry.
I have an accident and loss of certifications for 18 months.
And that was
It cost me over $300,000 to get my licenses back.
And that's what that are you talking about for the American Airlines thing?
I was flying for Delta when I had an accident.
Uh-huh.
And I lost my license. I lost my license because of decisions I made flying a private plane.
Gotcha.
And it took me 18 months, over $300,000 to get my licenses back.
Good Lord.
When I got my licenses back, I was flying for Frontier. It was not a very good airline to fly for. One of my buddies, told me that American was hiring. Go ahead and put in. Maybe you'll get it. I put in to get it. I was talking to the recruiter. The recruiter told me, yes, we have DEI practices here. And I told him to give it to another person because I'm not going to fly for your company.
All right. Well, I mean, again, that's the decision. That's the decision that you made for yourself. But they would not. They would not.
I made that decision. I made that decision for moral reasons, right? Because you are not a better person because you're black.
But again, that's not what can I say? How can I say what I'm trying to say differently? Like, or can you repeat back what I'm saying to you so I can make sure I'm expressing myself or communicating effectively? Because again, DEI, affirmative action, they're not lowering standards. So you were just as qualified. You were just as qualified or you met all of the criteria that they required for them to give you that position. So
So I was
but
unable to
you
fly
don't know what
even
every
my
other
private plane.
applicant's you don't know what every other applicant's situation is or was. All I'm saying is
But how many people applied?
if they had where we only
My
need 10 years
my
experience, we
friend,
need this thing, this and that, just because somebody had more
one
experience. And I'm sorry, I feel
one of
like
my
I'm
friends is a
talking over
white.
you. Go ahead and say what you were going to say. I'm sorry.
One of my friends, he has more experience than me. He's never had an accident. He's never lost his license. And I have an accident. I have a loss of license on my record. That's on my permanent record for life. And I was given a position. My friend, he was not given a position. He was not even given the interview. When I turned down the position, he still did not get the interview.
But again, for you
This
to
is 2 years later. My friend was more qualified than me,
sure,
more
but
years than
you
me.
understand that correlation does not mean causation, right? That's like everybody knows that phrase. Correlation does not mean causation. So just
Yeah, but
you
that's the
just
problem. That's the
cannot
problem with
know.
liberals.
But all I'm saying, and I feel like I'm trying to help you feel better about the situation. And it's like you refuse to accept that you absolutely were qualified enough. You met the criteria. They would not give you the job if you did not meet the criteria. Just because again, you just can't
I
know. And I'm
believe
sorry,
I
baby, you got to be
I
quiet
believe
though. But you just can't know what every other applicant had by way of their marks and variables and what their rubric was for hiring. You can't know what everybody else had going on, you know? So all I'm
it's
saying is
like
just you should feel a little bit better that they're not going to lower their standards and qualifications. So what that says to me is
and
that
me,
you met the standards and qualifications.
I get my hours every week.
Yeah.
Every month I max out my
Yes,
hours.
I mean, you worked hard. You worked hard for it, just like anybody else did, right? Like, why would you even have applied if you didn't think that you could get this job or that you were deserving of this
because I
job?
wanted the money.
Yeah,
Because I wanted the
but you
money.
don't. But I want money, but I don't go and apply to be a brain surgeon. I only go for things that I know I'm qualified for that I think I could potentially get. And so I think it's the same for you. And all I'm saying is that
Maybe,
from
maybe
American Airlines'
understand how much.
perspective, they did not lower their standards to hire a checkbox. They're not going to disrupt their entire business practice just so they can check a box. It just doesn't that doesn't add up
Okay,
to me.
so you want to talk about DEI? What's the most famous DEI hire that we had publicly?
I would say hire probably Pete Hegseth.
No,
Definitely Pete
the
Hegseth.
most
Okay, okay.
the
The biggest DEI system would be the Electoral College.
oh, absolutely not. That's just making everything free.
What is the
The
electoral
biggest
what is the Electoral College?
it represents it represents America as a whole.
Right?
Because you don't want California. So you look at California, New York, in the big cities. They have their views, and then you have small Nebraska
Yeah.
and Arkansas, Missouri. They have their different views.
Yeah.
So you don't want the whole government to be controlled, by one certain ideology.
So what you're
Sometimes in
saying
history,
is that the
the
Electoral
Electoral
College weights the smaller states with less influence. They weight them higher so that there's an equity in the electorate and their voices, right?
Not really.
Well then what is it if not that? What is it if it's not what you literally just explained to me?
Okay, so okay, so basically what you're saying is if each state gets an equal vote and then blah blah blah. So you look at each state, they get three,
Hey.
4, 6 votes. You look at California. How many votes does California get? Like 50, 60 votes? Oh, I mean, come on. So it's like 270 to win, and one state is getting like 20%. So if you get California, you automatically get 20% of the vote. One
Yeah, but
state
so then
would
why
represent
why do little states like Michigan and Iowa, why do they actually matter more when it comes to the electoral college than
but
a
they
state like
don't. But they
California?
don't
Because they give them more weight. They weigh them more because they represent a
because
minority.
we live
And
because we live in a
that's all
constitutional.
that DEI is. That's all that DEI does. So if you support
No,
the
we live in a
electoral college,
constitutional.
it sounds like you're in support of DEI. So I don't see the
No,
disconnect.
we live in a constitutional republic. We
Yeah.
don't live in a pure democracy
Right.
because it's like people sit there and talk about like Antifa.
Okay.
Do you support Antifa?
What is Antifa? Anti-fascist, right? But like, what is? I guess yeah. If
And,
I'm very anti-fascist.
and, Antifa is pro-fascist.
Isn't
You
it
know, it's like
Antifa is anti-fascist? Yeah.
I mean, what's in the name?
I mean, I'm
BLM
with you
means
because they
you
call
know,
they call North Korea the Democratic Republic of North Korea, right? So like, yeah, I get you on what's in a name for sure.
oh, okay, so you look at BLM, Black
Uh-huh.
Lives Matter, right?
Okay.
So like George Floyd passes away, so they go and they unalive 20 or 30 other you know black people during the riots. So
What?
George Floyd's life means more. I can't. I mean, there's several black people that are all alive during the riots. Their lives don't matter.
Wait,
But
who?
George Floyd, he's a prince.
But who's the guy who went to a different state to protect property? The kid? What's his name? The kid who went to a different
Who?
state and killed people and unalive people or
Oh,
whatever.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Kyle Rittenhouse. He killed white people. So
He was protecting
how is
himself.
that? How was that? Yeah, but how were more black people killed because of George Floyd's death when the only deaths that I'm familiar with due to anything regarding the process are the three white people that Kyle Rittenhouse killed?
I am.
Wasn't a white lady run over
Kyle,
by a car when one of those white supremacists ran into a crowd of protesters? What black people
yeah,
were killed?
let me give you something. Cop killed in he was in St. Louis, I believe. Yeah, one second.
Sure, but I'm already up four white people that got killed versus George Floyd.
Okay, what about David Dorn?
Who is that?
David Dorn is a 77-year-old retired police captain that was fatally shot in a burglary at a pawn shop in St. Louis incident that took place during the St. Louis BLM riots.
And he was a black man.
David Dorn was a black man. He was a
So
retired black man.
so that's now one black man to four white people that I know of that were killed due to BLM. Due to white supremacists in BLM.
How many people were killed during the BLM riots in 2020?
Are you asking me or that's what you're Googling?
I Google it. According to Forbes, in June of 2020, at least 19 black people died during the protest.
How many people in general?
19.
And they're all black?
That's just a Wikipedia. I can go through all the names. See, Kyle Rittenhouse, he was defending himself.
I don't care. 3 white people died because of him. And that's specifically related to the protest. So
yeah, but let me ask you a question. 3
Sure.
white people were unalived by Mr. Rittenhouse. during a BLM riot. If black lives really mattered, where's the black people? Why wasn't the black people there doing anything
There
about it?
were black people there. He just happened to only manage to kill the white people.
But
That
you
sounds
call
like a
but you
skill
call
issue.
but but you claim that Mr. Rittenhouse was racist.
Yeah.
Why didn't Mr. Rittenhouse instead of white people?
If he's not racist, why is he now taking all these speaking events for these alt-right white supremacist Nazi groups to celebrate the fact that he, schmurdered people during BLM riots and stuff? It's I think
Because
I
I
think
put
your actions speak louder than your words. Just like with Elon Musk, to even question that he wasn't doing the Nazi salute when he specifically does Nazi things after that fact. I don't care about the salute. I care about what he did afterwards. What he did
I put
in
BL
South Africa, what he did in Italy, what he did in Germany, what he did with the
I put
AFD
BLM
there.
I put BLM on the same level as KKK,
No, I do not.
Nazis,
I do
Joseph
not.
Stalin,
Because you
Adolf.
yourself said
I mean,
that racism is to discriminate and be prejudiced against, whereas Black Panthers, BLM, all that's meant to do is to uplift and empower and put a focus on Black people. The
on
KKK, the KKK,
there you go.
their intention is not to celebrate white power. They say that, but they do that by schmurdering Black people, putting people in political positions to make life more difficult for Black people. So I mean, I think when it comes to empowerment
Okay, so
versus prejudice, KKK is definitely based on prejudice, whereas BLM is
okay,
absolutely not.
okay, so your claim is Black Lives Matter and the Black Panthers, they're there to empower Black people, and they're not
Yes.
racist.
I mean,
But
yeah,
the KKK, the KKK is there to empower white people, and they're racist. And the Nazis are there to empower the Germans,
but
and they're
in
racist.
what way?
And
The
Joseph
Black Panther
Stalin's there
Party wanted to create free lunch programs for all children. They had Fred Hampton, who brought
and
the
eliminate white people.
white and Hispanic groups together and made the Rainbow Coalition. I mean, the BLM was intended to. The only thing they did, I'd say, that was more negative is they wanted to vie for the removal of like Confederate statues and things like that. That's a taking away of something, but that's not actively trying to go out and shill and kill and lynch white
But
people.
they did though. But they did
No, they
though.
did not.
I mean,
No, they did not.
you're so
How is BLM donning pointed white hats and stringing up white people from trees, or literally lynching white people for whistling at a Black person, or disrespecting a Black person? That just
BLM's
has
donning
never
a black
happened.
mask and full. The BLM's donning a black mask and full black garb.
Okay.
It's like the Nazi party back in
During a
the.
pandemic, yeah, I should hope they were wearing masks.
Oh, come on. You really think that the pandemic was a thing? Come
But okay, they're
on.
wearing
I
masks to then do
and
what? To then
you got
protest? They're not
yeah
wearing
yeah yeah.
masks and then schmurdering people, sweetie. That's the big
Hey,
difference.
I have $50 to sell you a bridge. It connects the East Coast to the West Coast over to Mississippi. Well, you want my Venmo?
Tell me,
You bought
a tell
the
me
BLM
a situation where they created a events to have picnics while they lynch white people. Like, you got to help me out. I just don't see
okay.
BLM on the
Okay,
same
so
level as the KKK by any means at all.
okay, okay. I mean, I believe the other day you told me you were in your 40s, but you're living in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch the news back in 2020, May, June
I
2020?
was in America in 2020. I was in Charlotte where we did have a gentleman get killed during one of our protests. So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I know that it was a dangerous thing.
You had Antifa that went and did the little CIA Antifa guy,
Well, you got to understand too,
and
the
then
whole
they
BLM thing came from the fact that yes, you had George Floyd, but you also had, I mean, literally so many other people. And it wasn't all like cops. It was Ahmaud Arbery, who was just murdered by three random white dudes, you know? But still, it's just to say that
oh,
Black
I
Lives
remember that guy.
Matter. That's it.
Ahmad Andre, that's the guy that was burglarizing houses,
No, he was
and then other
not.
people,
No, he was not. He
and
was
then and
jogging.
then he tried taking a rifle from another guy and wound up
Yeah, the guy
getting
was
himself
trying to kill him. Of course, he's going to grab for the gun. Did you see the video? You didn't see the video?
Yes, I did.
Well, then you
I
know
did.
for a fact that they literally just murdered this dude. They got
Yeah, no,
convict. How
he tried taking
often
that
do
gun
white
away.
people actually get convicted of their crimes? And they were convicted of murdering this guy. So yeah,
Yeah,
I venture to say that they actually did it. If a jury of their peers say that they did it, so
yeah, but
I'm with you there.
they're going to get you know they're going to get pardoned, right?
Oh God, and how awful would that be? Again, that's just yet another instance of them saying, of the government saying, this new administration saying, hey, it's okay to murder Black people. You'll have no repercussions
Okay,
from it.
so
None
how many
whatsoever.
black people died? How many black people died from COVID?
Oh my gosh, a lot. Millions.
What do you, what do you think about Dr. Fauci getting a pardon?
I think they had to do that because the right was
So,
going to
so
come after him. I really appreciate Dr. Fauci and all of his work. I think that there were
I'm
mistakes.
sorry. I'm
Let me
sorry.
ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. The big
Oh
thing that
shit.
people try to say Fauci did was that he said that masks weren't really necessary, and then he went back on it and
Correct.
said masks are necessary. So so
Correct.
so why when a venerated, intelligent, smart public servant like Dr. Fauci makes a mistake, because that was a mistake and it cost people their lives. It was a mistake. But why
Not
when
really, because
but why when somebody like him makes a mistake, or somebody I guess who you would want to put on the left makes a mistake, it's deemed this evil, calculated, intentional, mastermind plan, but when Donald Trump basically says this is not real, we shouldn't pay attention to it, let's just let people die, let's not do tests, because the more tests that we have, the more cases we show, and it makes us look bad, who does these things? How come it's like, oh, we're gonna give him the benefit of the doubt? Oh, it's he just meant it this way. Oh, he didn't mean it that way. That they sane wash everything he said.
I
He's
really
not
enjoy
seen as
talking
being
to you.
malicious, but Dr. Fauci is this evil
So,
guy who specifically went after me. Like, where does that make sense?
okay, so back in 2020, I was living in Peru, and the mandate in Peru in March of 2020 was if you go outside, you wear a mask or you will be arrested. I'm a conservative. I put the mask on because that was the law. You know, and in Peru, you don't have freedom as you do in America. And I messaged my liberal friend. I mean, she's a far right radical, Obama's, messiah, liberal. And I said, "Are you wearing a mask? Because here in Peru, we have to wear a mask." And she told me, "That's so stupid. You don't need to wear a mask. They want you to wear a mask because they want you to, keep the mask away from going to the doctors and all that need the mask and blah, blah, blah."
Uh-huh.
And then it was like 2 days later after that, Trump said, "If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. It don't really mean much. It makes you feel better. Do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. I'm not going to do it." And then Fauci comes out and says, I think that everybody needs to wear a mask because it's going to do everybody good. And it'll stop it'll slow the spread. It'll stop the spread. And the next thing you hear is my friend, which is a far left radical liberal, Obama's messiah,
Mm-hmm.
she tells me, "Oh, you have to wear a mask. If you don't wear a mask, you're all right with people." And it's like, just 2 days ago you were saying this, but now the science is out, and then it comes out that the mask really did not do nothing. And then it comes out that the shots that they were pushing did more harm than good. So
How
yes,
did
Fauci
wait
needs to be held
shots? The shots
accountable.
did more harm than good.
How did the shots do more harm than good? I mean, did you look at how many people passed away after those shots started going out? I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you right now. 2021, 2022, I went to like 50 funerals. 50 from people that were seemingly healthy that passed away from unknown causes.
Well, honestly,
Friends,
like
family, coworkers. And all of a sudden, all these people just heart problems. Are you serious? All these people, what do they have in common? They got the jab.
we know
And
now that
now
those
they
deaths
say
were
the shot.
definitely from COVID because
Okay,
we
no,
have the
absolutely not.
history
So
and
if
the studies to show now that the only ill effects of the vaccines were like myocarditis, like which is a survivable heart condition. Again, so like I would much rather
the vaccine heart problems. Let me Google that for you.
say that one more time.
So I just Googled that for you. Does the COVID vaccine cause heart problems?
Yeah,
COVID-19 vaccinations have been associated with myocarditis
carditis,
and
like I just
adolescent
said.
young adults.
And
And the concerns
is
have
myocarditis fatal? No.
yes. Oh my
No.
gosh,
Look it up.
dude,
Is
my
myocarditis fatal? No.
my nine my 19-year-old nephew passed away from that. Is myocarditis fatal? Yes, myocarditis can be fatal in
Can be
severe
fatal.
cases.
It's not a
Myo,
guaranteed death sentence.
myocarditis is an inflammatory heart muscle. In severe cases, the
In
inflammatory
severe cases that are not treated, if you
and the
treat it,
heart
you're
muscle.
fine.
So it's like you just made a claim, and I did a very quick Google search, and it's there, and then you want to say, oh, well, but in extreme cases. Okay, I mean, hey, you're in the UK. Hey, the sky's blue.
All I'm saying is,
Go look out. This is my argument is the sky is blue. Go look out your window and tell me what color the sky is.
listen. All I'm saying is,
The sky is blue.
myocarditis is treatable. It's treatable. It's not something that I would rather have. I would rather have something treatable than die from COVID. Like if you look at the rates of death from COVID versus from myocarditis, like I think I would take my chances with the
What
myocarditis.
is the mortality rate of myocarditis? Patients with chronically severe acute myocarditis short-term mortality is high, particularly in those with comorbidities and severe clinical, yeah. Excessive mortality remains high for at least 10 years after hospitalization, even in young people with non-compatible whatever. So you're making claims. So short-term mobility over a 10-year death occurred 25.5% in patients. Global burden, and it was 1.2 million. So people who had it, 32 passed away. Globally increased compared to the 90s. It's very easy Google searches. I mean, you sit there and make these claims in a very, 30, 10-word Google search is debunking you.
How's it
That's the
debunking
problem with
me?
liberals.
I'm literally saying that
Because
if there were
Brett,
if there's a small chance of side effects with the vaccine, and the small chance of side effects could include myocarditis, and there's a small chance that if you have myocarditis you could have the severe effects, the severe version of it, and then there's a small chance that if you have the severe
what is
version of it
it?
that you don't treat
And
it,
COVID.
and then there's a small chance that if you don't treat it that you could pass away within 10 years. So I mean, if you're gonna
Okay,
take that
so
fractional chance versus
so
not getting vaccinated and getting COVID, and what are the rates of that? Like I think the vaccine is the better option. I'm glad that it was promoted. I'm glad that Donald Trump created it. Like, so I don't understand how everybody's against it when that's the one good thing Trump did was do the fast track program for the vaccine. So yeah, I mean, if you're gonna blame anybody, why are you not blaming Trump then? If it's something that you are so against, I don't get that. You want to
actually the
pick and
COVID
choose. You want to pick and choose your blame, and that's not very fair, is it?
Actually, the COVID vaccine was a vaccine from the SARS and MARS virus back in the earlier 2000s under the Obama administration. When they were giving the vaccines to people, the death rate was too high,
You're
so
talking about
they
like MRA,
eliminated
SMRA uh,
it. So they,
vaccines.
so they said that this vaccine is inadequate, it's too dangerous, and it's not for the human population. During the COVID time, they took that vaccine off the shelf and they started giving it to people, and it was almost 1% of everybody who got the vaccine. It was like 1 out of 100 people had adverse effects from it.
Yeah, but those
I
adverse
don't know how
effects
many people.
did not include
I
death.
know at least. I went to.
I heard
I
that
was
too.
going to.
That
I was going to a
a
funeral
lot of women
every
had
week.
clotting. Some women had clotting. And there were 3 cases of women dying from like clots, and that was from the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which was not the SMRA one. So,
Yeah,
so no,
I wasn't allowed to travel internationally for 3 years because I refused to get it. My wife was denied her visa because she refused to get it.
yeah, that should tell you
So
something
it's
that
like,
the risks are not worth the loss of the rewards of having that immunity, of
and
having the ability
and
to not pass it on to others.
and now what's President Trump doing? President Trump's telling these universities and schools that say that unless you get the vaccine, you cannot come here. Trump's saying, the fuck you say? You ain't gonna allow people to go there because they don't got the vaccine? You're losing all federal funding.
Well, again, that's like 10% of their income. I'm sure they'll be okay. But yeah, I would absolutely rather I'd rather associate with
Yeah,
people, especially if I'm forced to go back into the workplace and be on campus and stuff. I would much rather know that the people around me had a concern for my well-being, if not their own. And I think that's the problem when you don't. And it goes back to what we were talking about
but
yesterday with like the fact that it's all about the individual and what's best for you and what your anecdotal situation was, and it's not considering how you might give it to somebody else, or how you might spread it, or how you might, again, harm the people around you. So it's one of those things where I don't know how to bridge that gap. I feel like we can come to agreement on a lot of things, but if your empathy for other people, it's just not there, then I don't know how to go back in
fair
time and
enough.
help you develop that as a child.
I would hope that you wouldn't get the jab. I would hope that you don't get the booster because I know the adverse effects of that.
But again,
Here in
I've
the
had
U.S.,
them. I've had no adverse effects, and I'm still alive because I didn't get COVID. So I mean,
That's
I
just
would
weird.
rather you get the vaccine than for you to get COVID and
Did
continue
you ever get
spreading
COVID?
COVID. Yeah, I did.
Did
I
you
got
ever get
COVID,
COVID?
and it was mild. It was super mild because I had gotten
Did you
vaccinated.
did you wear the mask?
I did wear a mask because I care about the people around me. It wasn't just about me. And
Okay, so
speaking of masks, I want you to look up Woodrow Wilson and what he did in 1918 during World War One. How he made one of the first national mask mandates because of an influenza virus that was going around back in again 1918. So, so people love Woodrow Wilson. They don't shit on him for making people wear masks. So if
um,
but suddenly it's a bad thing when uh, when Trump is faced with that. You know, and that's what I don't get too is like the lockdowns, the mask mandates, all that stuff happened under Trump. That was all Trump.
yeah,
So
but
I don't get how there's so much hate for the Biden administration when they came in after all that was kind of starting to work itself out.
okay, you want to talk that? So Biden said, "I'm not going to get the jab because that's going to be Trump pushing it through." Then he becomes dictator, and he's like, "I got the jab, I got the second jab, I'm getting my booster."
I've
And
never,
then it's
you would
like,
have to show me where he ever said he was not going to get
and then it's
vaccinated.
like,
He was one of the first
and then
people
it's
in
like,
line to show that it was safe. So was like Michelle Obama
uh,
and Harris. I
man,
remember seeing them get their jabs on TV. But listen, it's two in the
I,
morning. It's 2 in the morning my way. I just
I
want
was
to
just
leave
going
you with some homework. I want you to really go back and look
to,
at what Woodrow Wilson did in 1918 and maybe compare and
okay,
contrast it
so
to how things had to go when COVID first came on the scene. So and give
okay, yeah,
your
so
president some more
it's 8
grace
o'clock.
because Trump made I think the absolute right decisions when he put Fauci in charge, when he did lockdowns, when Trump did the lockdowns, when Trump uh did the mask mandates and all that. When Trump did those things, I think he made the right call. So you know, we can go out on a
Yeah, but
win where we're going to agree that Trump had some good decisions.
yeah, but you're there talking about Biden. That's an easy thing because that was during the debate when he said, he's not going to take any of the jab because that's a Trump thing. And
Again,
all
hey,
and Biden said, I mean,
I'm
that's
sure you and
very
I are gonna speak again at some point. So I mean, find where he said that. I will absolutely take a look. You know me. If I'm wrong, if you can show me, I will absolutely be like, oh, okay, sure. But I don't recall because I was in America at the time. I do not recall Biden ever saying he was not going to take or promote the vaccine. So especially not for some kind of political win or gain. But
I mean,
I do have to go.
that's a 30 second, that's a 30 second YouTube search.
Yeah, find it for me. I'm on nightly. I try to get on around 5 p.m. Usually later, so I might as well push my time back, but we'll see. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and also if anybody's
Biden says he
still
wants the
watching,
jab.
you can follow to see when I go live. You can also visit
Oh, I
Sex with
follow you.
Sophie. Yeah, you can visit sexwithsophie.com and sign up for updates that way as well. But and you
Yeah, I
said, did
already
you
have him
find
on a
it?
burner account,
You
so
found it?
this is my drinking account.
But real quick, you found it?
I'll have to go through and, there's YouTube videos or clips, so you have to go through YouTube and, like, Biden says he won't take the COVID vaccine. And then, I mean, they're on there because
All right,
Biden
well,
said he wouldn't take it, Kamala said she wouldn't take it.
Kamala.
I wouldn't want to show you the wrong one. No cult this shit, no cult this shit.
Well, look,
I went to kindergarten
find
there,
it,
and we were taught vowels,
Kamala.
break up syllables.
Kamala.
What's the longest one syllable word in the English language?
What?
What is the longest one syllable word in the English
Hi,
language?
Mibby. I don't know. What is it?
Squirrel.
Squirrel. I
How
like
many
that.
syllables are in squirrel? So
Squirrel.
squirrel, I don't know how to spell it. There's a lot of letters in squirrel, but there's only one syllable.
I like
So
that.
when you want to sit there and, I mean, yeah, you can call her Kamala,
It's Kamala.
however you want to say it.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
how
say it
you
how
say it.
she says it.
LA.
We're not. I'm gonna die on this hill, man. You're not gonna get me on this one. Like if somebody tells me their name is said however it's said, that's how you have to say it because that's their name for them to determine how you say it. You know, I had a
My
friend.
name is
I had a friend
Jesse.
growing up whose name was Christopher. And you know how most Christophers go by Chris? He went by Topher. But you think I'm gonna be like, no, you're Chris, you're Christopher, just because that's unusual? Like that's silly. So anyway, I gotta get this baby to sleep. It's 2:00 in the morning.
Alright.
But I'm on just about every night, so I'm sure you and I are gonna speak again. So have that video for me, or if you want to DM me, you know how to get to me.
Yeah, you have a good night. Yeah, hope you had a good Valentine's Day. Good
Oh,
talking
you
to you.
too, and you too as always, Chef. Thank you so much for calling.
Yeah, you have a good night.
All right, you too, sweetheart. Bye.
Bye.
Alrighty, friends. What a sweetie pie. I love that we can disagree on a lot of things, but he's always super respectful and I don't know, I love the conversations that we've had so far. And again, if anybody ever wants to interrupt me and call, you're more than welcome. I'm hoping that really soon maybe I can start adding guests on TikTok, but right now the only way to really engage in the call a liberal is to actually call a liberal. So yeah, I'm on nightly. It's a little late my way. I live in the UK again, so I'm headed to bed. But I'm restful because I am MAGA. We'll see how long that lasts. I'm gonna keep working on you, okay? But and again, you know, I think we should all try to make America great again. I just think the way that we're gonna go about it is a little different than what's rolling out right now. I do believe that we were making so much progress towards togetherness and understanding with each other and class consciousness, Luigi friends. But yeah, hopefully again we can start getting back on that road. I don't think that we're completely pushed off from it, given some of the civil rights and DEI stuff that's come down, but you know, we'll keep talking to each other and just keep the conversation alive and keep it open because I love you. I love you all. And so I do hope that you will love one another, but with permission. Alrighty, friends. I'll see you probably tomorrow. Happy Valentine's Day. And let me figure out how to get out of this thing. I think that's it. Bye.